Hey everybody, I'm gonna be doing, I guess like a video response to a video I saw earlier where a guy was talking about the skeptic community and how um, it's become more anti-social justice warrior than it has, maybe even more so than it's traditionally been anti-theocrat. And he's kind of confused on why people would move in that space to be more anti-social justice warrior. And I could tell that the guy had not spent a lot of time in the community, um, because there's like if you were to just roll in, say just this last year, you'd probably miss quite a lot of context, right? So um, you have to start earlier than that. So I'm going to try and explain this in a two-part conversation. The first one is talking briefly about Christians. So Christians are not in the same space that they were 10, 15, 20 years ago. They're diminished. They're not as strong. They're not as powerful, and there's less. They're less influential. I don't know if there's actually numerically less. They're probably less proportionally. Um, and secularists, they're definitely like I think the largest expanding group in America at something like 15, 20%, something like that. So it's similar social development to probably what happened in Europe here a while ago. So, and not only that, they're less violent. You know, they're less violent. It's more tolerant, than it was. And I think for secularists and anti-theists to stay relevant, um, we need to put out the fires where they are. You know, instead of stamping out fires that are already out. And um, when it comes to religion, there's no place with a bigger fire than in the Middle East right now. They're in the middle of a religious war. There's an ongoing genocide of the Yazidi people, a religious minority, by Sunni Muslims. The Shia and the Sunni are fighting each other in Syria. They're fighting each other in Yemen. Um, I mean, that's an ongoing. That's an old fight, but it's 1,400 years old, and the secularists and the atheists have something to impart on this problem. You know, um, especially us that have lived in a secular society that get to enjoy how peaceful it is, how people can coexist side by side and enjoy each other's company without escalating to violence. That's a big deal, and it's something that people in the Middle East deserve. They deserve to have that. You know what I mean? Like, this is not something that should only be for us. And it's you gotta look like what's keeping that from happening, and it's quite a few things, and the social justice warriors are part of it. Uh, and I think I'll start with them, right? Because this is a this is like the first battle to be won is probably against the social justice warriors. So what does a social justice warrior do that inhibits the secularist or the atheist or the agnostic from being able to levy an argument against Islam? Well, they have adopted a term invented by CARE, the Council for Arab and Islamic Relations, called Islamophobia. Um, and what is that term, huh? Well, that term is meant to win a debate before it's begun. Um, it says, loaded into that word is a presumption that you are irrational and emotional. And this term gets levied indiscriminately. It gets levied against people like Bill Maher, Sam Harris, and pretty much anybody else that's noteworthy. Um, and at a lower level, people that just want to have conversations in their living rooms or with their friends, there's a pretty good chance you're going to come into contact with somebody that's going to feel like they need to introduce you to this term. So, the odds are stacked against you there. Um, so, presuming that was able to be solved, then you go one step further. Um, where does the term Islamophobia come from? Like so we know about the Council for Arab and Islamic Relations. Also, we have 2, 3, 4, 5 administrations that have married us to Saudi Arabia. Their foreign policy is our foreign policy. We protect them. Our ships guard them. Our Air Force protects them. We're married to the Saudis. We're born on top of some oil, so I guess that's what happens. So this is not an ideological marriage. This is not like we went around surveying the countries, like who aligns closely with our most treasured and important beliefs. Who believes in human rights, who believes that all men are created equal, all the stuff that's in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. Like, they don't have that there. That is not a ideological marriage. That is a strategic, practical marriage. And in so much as the politicians that are able to make that relationship continue, it is a very, very lucrative thing for them to be able to do. So as long as they can make it so you don't notice the things that are going on over there, so like the liberal bloggers that are jailed and lashed, or the atheists that are jailed, or the homosexuals that are executed, the political dissidents that are killed, and the religious minorities that are killed and oppressed. As long as the Western media doesn't cover it and the politicians don't talk about it, that relationship is making a very select people inside the United States and other Western countries very, very wealthy. And so that's where the term Islamophobia came from. And that's why, and that's who uses it for the most part. And then, finally we got to talk once again about the Middle East. So you have at least 3 hardline religious governments. Like, that's their primary stated purpose, is to be a religious government, right? So Iran, Saudi Arabia, and ISIS. And then, apart from those 3 countries, you have several that are highly, highly, highly religious. Bahrain, Yemen, Kuwait, um, maybe Jordan. I don't know. And, take your pick. There's a lot of them in the region, and they all have the same social structure, the same social rules, the same sort of religious intolerance, um, and it's not really like their fault. Like, see, this is the thing that drives me nuts: is you have to be, in order to adopt an idea, you have to know that an idea exists, and this space is dominated by people that are theocrats that do not allow an open marketplace of ideas. And so there's, for secularists that care about things like freedom of speech, which should be every single one of them. And this is like Mordor. This is like this place is fucked beyond belief, because you can't even have the conversation. You will go to jail for thought crime. And what you see stretching out from there, if you're paying attention, is government after government resigning themselves to allow Islam a special status. Um, so much so that you hear Islamophobia brandished about as racism, and you hear about people going to jail for intolerance in places like the UK or in Germany, and that's a serious problem. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's quite a large amount of people that are just like they're just xenophobes, right? They're just like, hey, the foreign shit scares me. I don't like it. I get that. Um, but those people have a right to speak, and you can't take criticism of religious ideas and put them beyond public discourse just because uh, some aspects of discourse are going to be held in common with people that are xenophobic or racist, or some variant of shithead. you know so that's the big problem. That's a big problem. uh, so I think that's why the obsession with social justice warriors in the skeptic community, because you have people that feel passionately about empiricism and secular society, that treasure freedom of speech, that treasure our open dialogue and our open society, and they want to preserve that. And they don't just want to preserve that, they want other people to be able to enjoy that. And this is a new sort of trouble that we've never had to deal with. It's sort of like imperialism masquerading as tolerance. So it's a strange times we live in. New days and new fights, I suppose. Thanks for listening.